Hello friends, it's Jama here, and I have over 30 spring themed scrapbook layouts to share with you today. I dug deep into some older albums to pull out some layouts that I haven't even seen in a while, and there are some more recent ones as well, single page, double page, and I just thought since spring is around the corner and I can't wait, it would be fun to share some bright and cheery spring layouts with you. So let's go ahead and get started. This has got to be one of my all-time favorite layouts, and it's from so long ago. But when I think of spring, I think of flowers. I love flowers. I use them for spring and summer and really all year round. But this is from many, many years ago, and what I love about this, besides the gorgeous paper, is that there's lots of inking and stamping techniques. So I've talked in videos before about using busy paper in different ways, and I have a whole video on 5 ways to use busy paper. But one of those ways is to use it across the top or the bottom. And so in this layout, we've got the busier paper across the top, and then notice all the papers that the photos are on are not as busy. And this is actually one of the layouts that Close to My Heart had in one of their workshop kits. And I might have changed a little bit of it, but for the most part, I kept it as is because I really loved it. I love that the title has stamping. So there was a stamp set that came with this kit way back when. And so the Oh So, and then I love how the happy overlaps it. So we've got a lighter color for Oh So, and then a darker color overlapping. I love that look. This right here was a stencil, so I did a little bit of ink blending through the stencil to add some interest back there. We did some ink blending on this stamp and then cut it out. These are stamps, so I stamped it and then did my little journaling. There's not a whole lot of journaling, but did that inside the little stamped box, which was really fun. And then over here, we've got the same stenciling, the same stamped and cut out butterflies. And then I really like this element where we have the little sentiment and just kept repeatedly stamping it without re-inking to give that second, third, fourth, and fifth generation look, which I think is so fun. I believe that these leaves were actually stamped as well. I think they were stamped in black onto the green cardstock and then fussy cut out. So we have lots of dies now that you don't need to fussy cut out. I have a little stand here that I put all of my most used sprig dies on from multiple sets. I love that Stampin' Up! Has so many die sets that will coordinate with the stamps and then also have these standalone sprigs. So this is what I do with my most used ones, and I keep them on this little Dollar Tree frame with a magnet on it right in front of my workstation. So anyways, you could use one of those sprigs for this instead of having to fussy cut it out. And then also another fun element is this is washi tape. You could use a scrap of paper if you want as well, but I just thought it was a fun little element to create a divider and a little shelf for my embellishment cluster. And then we've got a longer one over here. And then how about these little metal embellishments? Those were so fun. They're quite bulky in the album, but I don't usually add a lot of bulk in my layouts, so it's okay if I have something every so often, but I just love this layout. This is a great go-to design when you have a lot of pattern papers in a paper pack that you love and you can't decide which ones to use. Just do different strips going behind the photos. So I forgot to mention I do have a process video for a lot of these layouts. The last one I don't because that was an older one before I was on YouTube, but I will create a playlist of all the layouts that I'm showing here, and that will be linked in the description below, so just click that see more under the video if you'd like to see the process video for any of these. This has a process video, and one thing I want to point out is that behind most of these I've cut away a lot of those strips, so we're not wasting a lot of paper behind there. You can use just little tiny pieces, tiny scraps even, to get this look. If you have maybe a couple of longer strips, and then all of these could just be scraps, and it gives that illusion that it's going all the way behind. So we also have some stenciling on this one, back behind here, some florals and leaf clusters. These are all close to my heart products, but Stampin' Up! Has lots of leaf sprigs that I just showed you, lots of floral elements, butterflies. Oh my gosh, there's a really great butterfly set out right now that would easily replace that. Butterflies are another great element for spring layouts. I was actually recently going through my Instagram account and ran across the photo of this because I was looking for a design to scrap lift of myself. And I just had one large photo that's probably about the size of these two together. So I thought, you know what, this is inspiration. Even though this is a double page, I could translate it to a single page, just center everything, maybe have another longer strip on this side, center it, and use that larger photo too. So think outside the box. If there's a 2-page layout you like, but you only have enough photos for 1 page, or vice versa, you can often translate that to the other size layout. Here are some more butterflies. Speaking of butterflies, this is an older Close to My Heart mix-in paper, I believe. And for this layout, I used my Cricut and I cut out a wreath that goes about 3/4 of the way around. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, you can easily get this look with sprigs and flowers that you arrange in this fashion. It doesn't have to be all one piece. I've got another little element here just to kind of add another bit of color up there. But then I also have just some sprigs kind of tucked under there to make it look a little fuller too. So you can always just cut a bunch of sprigs and flowers and layer them up together. So this one is super fun. If you don't want to do flowers and sprigs, you can cut a circle either with a Cricut or Silhouette or a cutting system, or just trace a dinner plate and cut it out, put it on top of your background paper, and put your photos on that for a nice base. So notice my photos are nothing fancy. It's just 2 4x6s just right in the middle. And look at her face. She's so cute. She was just over 1 in this picture. This was at a wedding that we went to. Here is a classic frame style layout where we've got the busy paper around the outside. This is another way that I've talked about to use busy paper, is to have it as a wide border all the way around your layout, and then put the more subtle patterns right over or right under your photos so that your photos will shine. So here I've got a larger mat and then 2 more mats, and then I also matted all of my photos. Now I could have put my photos all on one large white mat, but I wanted that pink and the gold polka dots to show through in between each photo, so I decided to mat them all separately. But another way to carry on that frame style layout is to just cut another big white piece and mount them all on that. So this is a 5x5, I believe, 5x4, and then some 3x4s. They might have been cut down a little bit too. So in order to make them all line up exactly, you have to do a little bit of cropping and trimming and thinking ahead, but it's always fun when it works out. This is a layout I really had to think outside the box on. Years ago, I used to do some kill the kit videos where I would use an entire workshop kit and basically make probably 6 or 7 layouts from it, and then finish it up with some cards. I would do a process video for each one. This is when I was getting down to not a whole lot of paper left. This was actually a winter themed layout or paper pack, but this pattern here wasn't super wintry. So I used a larger piece of this pattern here for a totally non-winter theme. I mixed and matched some stickers from several different sticker packs. I think this one was from that winter theme. Obviously, melt, you melt my heart. It was a play on words. And so I ran with that and then pulled in some stickers that went along with it and came up with this layout. I've got some ink smushing in the background here all around, which was fun. So this is a very different style for me, but I think it's super fun. And the exercise in killing the kit was super fun, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I should bring that back. The only problem is that when I did those videos, I got real tired of working with that paper. So I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Let me know down in the comments if you would like to see me kill a kit again. This is another go-to design. This was actually from one of Close to My Heart's pattern books, but the concept of having some busier patterns going across the bottom and then having a row of photos going across is nothing new, and it's a real great design. Again, we talked about using busier patterns down at the bottom. So I've got the busier pattern here, and then even here, and then the bulk of the photo, the focal parts of the photo are up here on top of the white and the solid green. So we have the same concept of not having the photos directly on top of the busy paper. This was actually a layout that I created when I presented at one of Close to My Heart's conventions when this paper pack came out. It's a very strong, like baby, but also spring, like rebirth kind of paper pack because it had a lot of these little, like the little turtle with the baby and the fox with the baby. And so I used these little baby photos of my daughter on here, and I just think it turned out so cute. I've also got some splatters up here. I like to do splatters when I have a lot of white space, which I like to have white space because that gives your eyes places to rest, especially when you got a lot of busyness down here. But having the splatters kind of fills a little bit of that white space without taking away the white space, if that makes sense. So I do love adding splatters on my layouts, and you'll see those throughout my share here. Boy, this is a blast from the past as well, and I love this concept of doing this kind of Polaroid look. And I actually had this little collage that I made in a collage app and then just printed the collage and kept it that way. And then I cut a piece of paper, so this is actually laying right on top of the photo, and then I cut the square out of there, and I love the little Polaroid look. And then I also cut a darker color to kind of go behind there, offset, to kind of help it pop off that background. There's some more fun stamping on here. We've got the happy repeatedly stamping on this one to create our own pattern paper. So that's a great way to create pattern paper, is just repeatedly stamp one stamp, if it's a word or whether it's a flower or whatever it is. This is stamped as well, and also the Best Buds is a stamp, and then up here is a stamp as well. So lots of fun stamping. And this paper pack, I think it was called Lolly Doodle, which was such a fun name and such a cute paper pack. This is years and years old, but still so fun. So we mentioned wreaths. Here's another example, and I believe this was in my series from that same winter kit, the Kill-A-Kit series, because this pattern back here was one of the patterns in that kit, I believe. So again, I will link that down below. It's quite old, many years ago, but I've got a wreath, so the flowers go all the way around on that wreath, also cut from my Cricut, and then a large scallop circle on top of that for layered effect, to kind of, because this would be too busy to put all of this on, so then having the white base gives us a space to put our photos on. I layered a few, I want to say these were pocket cards to add just a little bit more of that purple behind there, but I didn't fully matte them. Added some flowers, so kind of a band across the bottom, and then a couple more spots to create sort of a visual triangle. And then this is also a pocket card. It's a journal card, but don't think you have to use journal cards for just journaling. The lines lend themselves for a lot of other things, like I think that the title looks cute on there, the half of the title. So think outside the box with your journaling cards. You don't have to just use them for journaling. Well, this layout screams spring to me because I used a lot of the Gnomes for Spring collection with this. Now, the Gnomes for Spring had a cloud pattern. I can't remember if this was from that paper pack or there was also a mix-in paper pack at the time that also had clouds, but the little butterflies were from there. This stamp was, and these little stamps, look at that little snail. All of these stamps were from that collection. And then this bike I cut out with my Cricut, as well as the sun. When I cut out suns and use them on layouts, I love rubbing stickles on them. So I did a little bit of ink blending to kind of add dimension, and then hopefully you can catch those stickles and all that glitter gel that's fun on there. So my daughter's bike is pink, and I cut out this bike in pink to match it. I've always wanted to use this bike, which is a Cricut image that I have, but my kids don't ride their bikes a ton, so I was really glad that I had these cute pictures. Here's these layered florals. Again, those were such a fun die set from close to my heart. So for this layout, I actually used a birthday pattern paper back here, but you know, it just says yay. And I was not celebrating a birthday, but I was celebrating friendship. This is a picture of my friend Stephanie and I. We get together, or we try to get together every year for a crafting weekend, and this was one of those weekends. So I've got some fun stenciling back here. I actually stenciled in pink and then went over it with some Stickles glitter gel to add that shine as well, and did a little stamping here, mixed quite a few different stickers from different packs, which was fun. So there is a process video for this. So by looking at this, you might think it's a fall layout. I did use fall paper, but it was a spring layout. I think it was in March or April when my sister and I went to visit my parents, and I used a fall stamp set with, you know, mums and sunflowers, but it just went with the vibe of the winery we were at. So there was all of this dark wood here, so I chose this dark wood pattern paper, and then all the colors went really well with this. I think this was from Gnomes for Autumn paper pack. And then over here, even our food, we had like butternut squash soup, and I had butternut squash risotto, and all of the brown back here. So it just really went well with the fall photos. We've got a flip flap here. That was so good, the butternut squash risotto. This was in Oregon at the Willamette Valley Winery. I love that place. Just a fun time with my sister and my parents. All right, I wanted to show both of these to you together because I used the same exact sketch, but look at how different they look. So this one over here is one that I did in our Creative Design Team membership. The topic was fancy folds, and I showed how to get this look with some fancy folds. This was from, I don't know, a year or two ago. By the way, our Creative Design Team membership is open for new registration right now. We're only open about 2 or 3 times a year for a couple weeks each time. And when you're in the membership, you get an exclusive class every week on a specific topic. All of us 7 instructors rotate teaching. There's also a tip video every week, a challenge every month where you could win a free month of membership. So it's really fun over there. I highly suggest it. I'll have the link down below if you're interested in checking it out. And then this one, I have the video here on YouTube. I did a very different look. I did some stamping back here with a little lace stamp, which is super cute, and there and there. I love that. And then I love how these little embellishment clusters turned out. So this was one of the first layouts I did with Stampin' Up products, I believe, and I used the Country Lace paper, which has this really gorgeous eyelet pattern, and I really love that pattern. I don't think I've used it since I did this layout. I'm gonna have to bust that out again. It's a great one to kind of just mix in with a bunch of different papers. It's almost like a mix-in pack with that sort of tone-on-tone look. Now we're getting into some more recent ones, at least in the last year or so. This uses the Secret Garden paper, which is 50% off right now on my Stampin' Up website. So I highly suggest grabbing that scrapbooking kit if you don't have this paper yet. It comes with a stamp and die set, a die set that cuts out these gorgeous flowers here, the paper pack, the cardstock. So this is cardstock. It's an incredible value for only $54. It was $108. Plus it comes with the scrapbooking guide. So it has the cutting instructions with the layout pictures and all of that. I didn't follow the instructions, but they're in there for, it's at least 3 2-page layouts. It might even be more because it was a really big kit. Anyways, this is what I created with it. I fit lots of photos on here. I created some 2x2 photos documenting a trip that the Creative Design Team and I took to Vancouver, Canada last year. So let's see, I got 11 photos on here, which is awesome. I do have a process video for this. Here's another example of using busy paper, cut it into small triangles and create a little zigzag across. You could also just do some small strips, but this was a really fun pattern. I showed this as one of the tips in the Creative Design Team membership, exactly how to do this, and gave all the measurements and everything. So if you're in that membership, we do usually have a sketch with measurements for anytime we have a tip like this where I was giving you the measurements for this, or our classes, we usually create cards and a layout, and then we have a layout sketch with all the dimensions, so you've got lots of inspiration and sketches to work from. Well, I have a lot of single page layouts in this share this time. Usually I do double page layouts, but every so often I'll do a single page, and they happen to, a lot of them wind up in this share. But here is a great example of layering up lots of pattern papers. I love layering. I believe this was a sketch from one of Close to My Heart's sketchbooks as well. But the whole idea is basically cut a bunch of squares and rectangles and layer them behind your photo. So again, notice I have the less busy patterns right behind the photo. We've got some very subtle patterns. Actually, all the patterns I used on here are pretty subtle. And then we've got our visual triangle with the embellishments. And hopefully you can see that there's some stenciling back there too. It's in a light yellow. And of course, my splatters. And then sticker, my journaling sticker strips. These were from Close to My Heart, but I love them so much. They were cardstock stickers that you could just write on and then lay them on your paper, and I love them, and I'm hoping that Stampin' Up! Will bring them out. Please, Stampin' Up!, we love our journal strip stickers, but you could also just cut strips of cardstock. These would be 1/4 of an inch, and there were also 3/8 of an inch stickers as well. Here's another double page layout. I got lots of photos on here. This does have a process video, and I used this gorgeous paper that actually had a lot of punch outs. All of these punch outs were from that specialty paper, so I didn't do any stamping or anything, and everything coordinated because it's all from that same pack. And I'm actually getting 4 more photos on here in flip flaps. So these will go in flip flaps as well. And these 2 will go here, and these 2 will go here. So lots of photos on here. This is a sketch from the Creative Design Team sketchbook. Actually, a lot of these I forgot to point them all out, but the Creative Design Team has a lot of sketchbooks out as well. We have 3 volumes that are 12 by 12 layouts, so I will leave the link to those down below. They are all instant digital downloads. Here's another layout that might seem more summery, but it was in the spring when the Creative Design Team went on our trip up to Vancouver. So this was a little hike that we did. We had great weather. I love how many photos are on here, and I do have a process video for this. So I used this log stamp back here and in each of my clusters, and I just want to point out that this is only $10 on clearance right now. There's a few other stamps in that set. It's called Textured Timber, and it is a fantastic set. So at the time of this recording, it's still available. Hopefully it still is. I will link that down in the description below. Here's another layout that was from the summer, but could definitely lean spring. We've got the fun flowers and then all of the colorful sprigs. And then we talked about using the bright, bold pattern paper down at the bottom. So that's what I've done, and I was able to get lots of different patterns on here. This was another pattern from one of the Creative Design Team sketchbooks. So we've got all the bold patterns down at the bottom, and then plenty of white space because our paper and our photos are quite bright. And again, another wreath here. So we talked about wreaths a couple times. This is an outline wreath, but same idea. I've got 2 photos in the middle. They're just a little bit smaller, and then I have the title right underneath. Another thing I want to point out is that the flower clusters that I did, these are from the Fully Flowering Mix and Match ephemera. There's some black and white flowers in there. And because we had so much color going on already, I decided to use the black and white flowers, but add the color with the sprigs. And I think that that worked out quite nicely. So again, we've got butterflies, love the butterflies. And then these are my very favorite gems. There's like iridescent flecks and gold flecks in there, and they're just so, so pretty, and they just go with everything. Well, this paper screams spring. It's got the flowers and the butterflies, and it even has a little ladybug and the suns. That was a super fun paper. This was Enjoy the Ride, I think it was called. It was from Close to My Heart, but then sold by Stampin' Up after Close to My Heart closed. And I think this is the only layout that I created with that particular paper pack. This is that same girls trip in Vancouver, and I've got another flip flop here. This is the 4x6 flip flop. So they come in 3x3, 4x4, 3x4, and 4x6. There's 4 different sizes, and you just put them right on top of your page protector and they stay quite nicely. I did also want to point out that we've talked about busy pattern papers. In the video that's all about busy pattern paper, I talked about one way is to flank the sides. So I talked already about having it across the top and or bottom. Another way is having it down the sides. So again, my photos are more on top of the less busy papers. I figured I would end with my very first layout I created with my Stampin' Up supplies because this paper just screams spring to me. So I've got lots of flip-flops on here. So now here are the 3x3 flip-flops, and I've got several on here because this is where I'll do my journaling. I had lots of photos that I wanted to fit on this page. This is not only my first layout using Stampin' Up product, but I documented when a bunch of us Close to My Heart folks went to Stampin' Up before we joined to hear what they had to say and learn about them, and we just had the best time. We were so impressed. So lots of amazing people here. And lots of them I'm actually going to be seeing this week at Stampin' Up's On Stage convention, which I'm leaving tomorrow. So I'm hoping to capture some footage and create a little video to show you everything that I'm allowed to share with you about On Stage, and I'm so excited. So I wanted to do this share with you today. I probably won't have a video for you on Friday like usual, but I'll be back next week, hopefully, with information that I learned in Raleigh, North Carolina. If you'd like to see the video I created all about using busy pattern paper, that's here on the screen. And then below that is the playlist that has all of the layouts that I shared here that I have a video for. So I'll meet you over there. Have a great day.